appointment with them to get that referral done.
All right, testing 1, 2, 3. I think we're here. We are live.
Supposed to do it at the
Everybody's still
beginning,
talking.
and they-
It is June 27th, 2025, and it is the Friday before 4th of July, which is next Friday. So we're testing to see if is the volume working, because we're doing the volume a little different.
Working. I'm trying to figure out if there's an echo.
Oh, there is an echo. Is it working good?
Sometimes there is an echo.
Where is the chat so I can find our
Austin is on. You can ask
Austin? I can't see you. I don't know where the chat piece is, the comments. Oh, Austin, morning all. Can you hear us, Austin? Is it working? It's like a 20-second delay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yes. I think we're
Yes. Okay. So no echo. We're using the microphones as opposed to the laptop here. So okay. All right. We'll get going. I don't know if everybody has seen. We're going to do the pro-life committee update probably about 12:30 or certainly a little bit early today, because there was the big win up at the Supreme Court. But apparently there was another win a few minutes ago, and Donald Trump announced it. Giant win in the United States Supreme Court. Even the birthright citizenship hoax has been indirectly hit hard. It had to do with the babies of slaves same year, not the scamming of our immigration process. Congratulations to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General John Sauer, I guess, and the entire DOJ news conference at the White House at 11:30 a.m. So apparently it's a big deal. I think they've just stopped the injunction. I don't know if the U.S. Supreme Court has actually looked at the full language or analyzed the constitutional issues that are involved with it. But it's a positive move. So I mean, the Supreme Court's doing some good things. Can't wait to see what the numbers or the vote is on this birthright citizenship thing. But it's all good. So
Jeff, reading Breitbart, they kind of outlawed the lawfare and judge shopping.
yes,
Said 6-3.
yeah, 6-3. This is what's amazing to me is you get 3 judges that think it's okay. So yeah,
That's
that's
the 3 liberals.
Yeah. we can
okay.
vote
So Olga's
against
got it up on the screen, but he put that out on True Social. What's interesting is turning into the news. It's actually the best place to get news is on True Social on Donald Trump's his profile. So he's actually getting and putting stuff out a whole lot faster than you can, and certainly more truthful, or at least getting the word from the horse's mouth about exactly what's going on different things. So we're a little quiet today. So
Do you want us to be loud?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what we want to do. So
Well, remind everybody about tomorrow.
oh yes, we do have the barbecue tomorrow. I don't know if Olga can throw that thing up there. And Austin has said yes and not being censored. So yes, Donald Trump can get his voice straight out to the people by going to True Social and how he's pushing that out there. So it was funny. I think the other day, it must have been Saturday night, when they were talking about the Operation Midnight Hammer and the bombing and everything. Literally, True Social almost shut down. I mean, you could not get into things, you could not see things. It was not pulling things up. And I think they probably got flooded because that was the only way to get information.
Push
So,
out there, the truth.
yeah, the truth, yes. And then we did see what happened earlier this week, and Pete Hegseth got upset about it. I mean, it's amazing to sit there and see CNN come out and attack America and attack and provide information that was not accurate, or a battle damage assessment that was inaccurate and early. So
What do you expect from a communist news network?
it's
Seriously.
quite interesting, and it's funny if you literally, I mean, this is what we try to teach people. If you follow it and you watch it and you see exactly how they're progressing, you can see the mental manipulation. But if you're not aware of it, if you just go randomly, or like I used to be, like most of us used to be, just watched NBC or CNN or watched whatever. I was, obviously a Fox guy for a long time. But even that, I mean, you can see how they're trying to manipulate people into believing or thinking certain things.
Well, several years ago, they could.
They said several years
Now
ago
they can't
could.
because of Truth Social. It's out
Correct.
there. And they haven't learned yet that we are actually getting the truth.
And the
They
more
can't run their
And
propaganda
X
on
has
us.
also now been back to free speech and
Oh,
the
really?
truth being out there. So
Yeah. So,
Elon
So they can't run a
definitely-
story for 2 weeks like they used to.
Yeah.
right, yeah, and the big story was, the Biden's son's laptop was not real.
It was not real, yeah.
Imagine if the truth had
just
really
like the
come out
bag
like
of
that.
cocaine, they don't know where it came
Yeah.
from.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So it's quite. I find it all quite interesting. We're in a new world and a new time, and this is what people are trying to learn and trying to figure out and see. But the mental manipulation that goes on, and I'm trying to think, there was a good example earlier this week too. A couple examples, but I mean, it's an incredible new era and a new time. So we're pushing there. I tell you what, do we want to go ahead and do the pro-life update? So
Okay.
gotta get things rolling, because this was a big week, and it actually had to do with the South Carolina case that was before the U.S. Supreme Court. So I'm gonna hand it over,
Mr. Chair.
and we got your business cards apparently too.
I saw that, nice.
Yeah, it was very delightful yesterday morning. Supreme Court voted 6-3 again. They favored Medina over Planned Parenthood South Atlantic. So basically, the state does not have to fund Planned Parenthood for their abortions and their transgender operations and things like that.
Woo-hoo.
So yeah, that's yeah,
Celebration.
that was very delightful for us yesterday
Very
morning.
much so.
Which has always been amazing to me. It's like, it's taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Why would you require people to sit there, taxpayers, and fund
Pay for
something
that,
that
yeah.
is that offensive to them?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just where there's a will, there's a way, and people have fought it, and it's taken years to get there. I guess we're finally there.
I mean, with that, so with that celebration, moving on, the Pro-Life Committee does have a new website. It's GCRP is Pro-Life. Greenville County Republican Party is Pro-Life. It's brand new. I've been working on it for about a week. It's going to be a living document, so it is going to grow, but right now, it is complete.
What's the website again?
GCRP is Pro-Life.
GCRP is pro-life. Isn't that a novel thought?
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, some updates on outreaching. Been working out with Hayden over in Oconee County. He wants to do a March for Life in January. He's been working with me on that, or he wants to work with me on that. Lifeline has come to me to advertise their events, and they do have they have an event on the 9th of July. It's about adoption. Ultimately, I want my website to be the go-to place. If you want to know something pro-life in Greenville County that's open to the public, I want my website to be the place you come to. So I'm excited about this. Last Tuesday, I did get to speak to the Cherokee County Republican Party.
So how'd that go?
It went very well. I gave probably about a 15-minute talk, and they spent the rest of the time asking me questions until the timer went off. And then after the meeting, a few of them stayed around. A lot of it actually dealt with the law. Exactly what does the law say? How the bills will affect it? And of course, there were some other issues as well. But yeah, I think there's a general ignorance of the abortion law, and that's why I did my talk earlier this month. Aiken County, one of the churches in Aiken County actually wants me to go and give that talk to them, the same one I gave earlier this month. They confirmed it will happen. We haven't had a date yet. I'll be talking to Lexington GOP in September.
And what we're trying to do is create where we have a statewide network
Yes.
of people that will communicate and will talk to each other. Because there are certain, pro-life groups that won't talk to other
Right.
pro-life groups. And it's like literally the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Seriously, why?
I mean, it's we see it in school choice. We
Ego.
see it in every issue.
It's
And we've
ego.
got it's ego.
Yeah.
And it's, some people have ulterior motives, various motives, those types of things. And what we're trying to do is ferret some of that out. So it may be uncomfortable. You may people get upset with you, but it's what we do on the legislative side. And it's what if we want the Republican platform to move forward, we've got to start working together. And that's what we're seeing actually with we can talk about it later, with the big, beautiful bill that's going on in DC. You see different Republicans that are wanting to make their voices heard. and they got their little egos and they're, Trump is telling them what to do and they don't really like it and they want to say, oh, well, I was elected by my people and I got to represent. But in reality, that it's probably some other money special interests that are pushing them.
What country owns them?
Right, but it has to, we need to realize it has to be a bit of a team effort in getting the ball across the finish line.
Well, it should never be about us. It should be about mission.
And part of my outreach,
Novel idea.
Wonder where I got that from.
one of my contacts had actually reached out to me, and we had a little talk about some issues, for those that are working for the primaries for next year and the outgoing years. Apparently there's some concern about Senator Goldfinch in the Horry County. So, basically I'm gonna be keeping up with him, asking my contact questions to see how things are going.
Senator Goldfinch is a Citadel graduate. I don't know the exact year. He is up in Horry County, and at least I do know it used to reach down into Charleston, into the Mount Pleasant area, because he was, I think, we were living on the Isle of Palm, so I think we were Chip Campson, but across the bridge where my grandmother lived in Mount Pleasant, she was represented by Goldfinch. So it kind of went from Mount Pleasant all the way up. I think they redid those lines. But Goldfinch is the state senator that was pursuing, along with what's his name out of Berkeley? Goldfinch and Larry Grooms that were pursuing Curtis Loftus. So that is like, they're obviously on the hot seat, both of those two, number one. So I don't know how much help we're going to get out of them. Goldfinch has never been a particular issue with us on school choice and some of the other issues out there. But what he did with Curtis Loftus, I think, woke up a lot of people. And I think part of that is he's looking at running for Attorney General this coming next year. So I think he was either trying to make a name for himself, like he was doing the right thing, but I think it's probably backfired on him. So it could be a positive thing. It could make him move more back to the right because he's screwed up with the right. It's so difficult. So that you will find that. And actually you'll find what will happen is you get Republican legislators or Republican groups, that type of stuff. They go too far left, they get their slapped out of them, and then they try to come back. But they're probably going to scoot back over there. What we're seeing, and I'm bringing that up, not to slow, but you got plenty of time, because you don't have to go to one. But but we saw that with what's going on in Lexington County. I mean, literally the group of Republicans that helped sabotage and worked with Drew McKissick to get rid of Pamela Godwin as the chair, the duly elected chair of the 2023 reorg they had down there. Now they've been kicked out by the rhinos in the establishment of Mark Weber's side, and they're sitting there trying to come back and they're not welcome in their own county by the rhinos or by the America First people, so they're going to other counties trying to appeal to them. And it's going to be quite interesting. Yes. Crying foul that, Pickens was treated so badly.
I know.
You should work with us. I'm like, you're the people who literally treated them badly. So, not Pickens, but the same people that support Pickens. So go ahead, please.
I think this has been a very busy week, and it's going to continue to be a busy weekend. Before the barbecue here tomorrow night, Liberty Harris, the daughter of Representative Harris, is having an event. It starts at noon. It's going to be education. Then they're going to go out and do some outreach to try and win some hearts and minds. Then there'll be some worship and food, and then a screening of the 1916 project. You can go to my website and register there if anyone's interested.
On the Greenville, the GCRP is
GCRP is
Let's keep emphasizing that.
Yeah. It's on the events page.
Yep.
And I have it pulled up. Can you see?
The pro-life.
GCRP is prolife.com.
And,
You're getting competitive with us. You got an events page, or wait a second. He's copying what we're doing. He's going to take over. Are you doing this in WordPress, or who's doing it for you?
I'm doing it. This is like the sixth website I've created.
Okay, good.
Although I did build on what existed for us before.
Okay, sure.
Let's see, for those interested in the pro-life committee, my meeting is tonight at 6:30 at Denny's. You can arrive as early as 5:30 if you want to eat there, and the meeting will start at 6:30. And one of the things I'm going to bring up is see if there's any interest in us starting an upstate pro-life caucus. where we would meet maybe every other month and just compare notes with all the different pro-life agencies in the area, coordinate events, make sure, we're not stealing someone else's thunder by having two events at the same time. Just general coordination efforts. And
We're not going to be able to win these battles by ourselves. We've got to be working with like-minded people in other counties. And my belief is there's plenty of us. There's a whole lot of us. And in other groups that are probably more establishment, more rhino, if we want to call it that way, and certainly the leftist groups are much more organized
Yes.
than I think the grassroots have been. So this is a grassroots effort. How can we get as organized as possible and empower people through tools and websites and Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff to kind of get the ball across the finish line.
awesome.
That's it.
That's all I have for today. Thank you.
He likes to hog the camera all the time. We got nothing to say. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well, appreciate that. You're doing great work. What we're trying to do is model some of our other committees on that. We've got here in Greenville, we got our initial organizational meeting of the Rules Committee tonight at 7 o'clock here at headquarters. Anybody's welcome to attend, but it'll be our first meeting for the Rules Committee. What we've got on the agenda for the Rules Committee going forward is we want to do a rewrite of our Greenville County Republican Party rules and also educate the executive committee on that. So we're going to take the GCRP rules, break them down into segments, go ahead and over probably the next 6, likely 12 months, go out and do a concerted push and say, hey, here's a section, here's what we're recommending the changes are, send it out to the executive committee, get their thoughts and all that. And then eventually what we'll be able to do is after the end of 12 months, hopefully whatever that time period is, we'll do, an actual vote of the executive committee to change those rules for the rest of this 2-year term. And then, but to make those rules official, you have to do it at a convention. So the convention of 27 will actually vote on it, but we will have given people literally a year and a half to look at all of the
Is that
changes.
gonna be enough time?
I don't know. I don't know. People still have questions, probably the day before,
Yeah.
even though we gave them a year and a half to look at it. So we're going to do that because I think that'll help people understand what's in the rules, understand how this works. So that'll be a big challenge for a big process for the Rules Committee to go through. We're also going to task the folks to look at the SCGOP rules. Eventually, we are going to get to the point where we're going to take over the state party or take back the state party from the establishment and the rhinos and empower the people. So we need to go ahead and start looking at those state party rules. I think it'll be a good exercise. Even over that same time period, we're looking internally or certainly with our executive committee and here locally over Greenville rules, which I think other counties can use to kind of look over and realize we'll have the rules and then there'll be discussion points,
Right.
hey, this is what the rule's about. Here's some examples. Those things aren't official, but that's really how you do the law.
Right.
When I look in legal books, here's the code section and here's the description. Here's the legislative history. Here's some description. It's usually more in regulations. You can have that, but I'm like, that's what we need to do because what has happened in the past, and we'll keep re-emphasizing this, is they've written the rules one particular way that can be interpreted multiple ways. So, they write the rules and they say, well, I was there when we wrote it and it actually means this, when, tomorrow they'll say it means something else. And we've literally seen them do that. We saw them do that with the 4th district and 1st congressional districts. The 1st congressional district, somebody was nominated allegedly by somebody who wasn't supposed to nominate them. So they had to, they let the executive board elect a new person to be the chair of the 1st congressional district. Up here, what did they do in the 4th congressional district? They said, well, that person wasn't eligible, so whoever came in second.
Right.
Which one is it? Is it the person who came, does the congressional district board reelect, or is it whoever came in second?
Well, plus they make rulings that are not even in the rules. How at first they said we couldn't have 2 Spartanburg people running.
Yes.
It had to be
yes,
Greenville, they had to
yes,
rotate every
yes.
4
Every
years.
term,
Yeah.
right.
And
And
it's
since
like,
Greenville had been chair before, they were like, you
it
can't.
has Spartanburg had
You
to
have
be
to have
this
a-
time.
Spartanburg. So, it's the whole thing is, but that's custom over what the rules say. It's not required, but if they say it's customary, so they change that. So come on in. There's one of our rules guys. He'll be here twice today, apparently. And maybe you can give us an update. Did you stay for the Stacks event?
Oh,
No, I did
I
not
have it
stay
on
for
the
Stacks
screen.
event.
You have it on the screen. Okay.
Oh, I don't have it.
All right.
Hold on, let me share it because I thought maybe people will share their thoughts on that.
Okay. Because I think what happened this week is we've got two candidates that have announced their candidacy for governor. I think what happened is you've got
Got an official endorsement.
Josh Kimbrell.
Oh.
I
He'll
guess he
announce
came out
tomorrow.
quicker right before
And he'll make
Alan
it,
Wilson.
he'll make it official tomorrow.
Oh, it's official tomorrow with him?
Yeah, he's supposed to be having his party, his big old announcement at Lake Bowman tomorrow.
Okay, well, good for Senator Kimbrough. But apparently, and I think he made the bit of an announcement, maybe not official, right before Alan Wilson did. Alan maybe did it on Tuesday. Alan is our Attorney General. He's always been known to be the guy wanting to run for governor, and it got kind of sidetracked for one or two terms, election cycles, because of the corruption probe with the Quinn Dome and all that kind of stuff, and Alan Wilson's involvement in that. We've seen David Pascoe talk a great deal about that, and he has a lot to say about Alan Wilson. But Alan is running for governor, and I think yesterday he was in Charleston in the Low Country, and he was endorsed by the sheriffs in both in
Okay.
Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester counties. That's the Tri-County area down there. So today he was having something at Stacks Omega or Stacks, one of the Stacks
The one on
The original
restaurants.
one.
The original
Oh, the
one.
original one?
I'm not even sure it's the actual original, or is it? Maybe it is.
Yes,
Maybe
it is.
The one in Cherrydale.
Because I remember the
Yeah,
old
one
days
Cherrydale.
when that location was a Sam Weiss.
Yeah, I remember.
Sam
that.
Weiss.
You want to go way back.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows who Sam
I'm
Weiss is.
not, I'm not.
What is that?
It says the original one.
It may say original.
It does say it.
It looks like, as Olga has put up on the screen, Greenville County Sheriff Hobart Lewis has officials endorsed Attorney General Alan Wilson for governor.
Even Fox News misspelled things.
Yes, so Fox News misspells as well, as you can see there. So we kind of figured that was what was coming. I think what Alan is trying to do is show that, or at least show that he is against crime and punishment. Or
What?
I'm sorry, no, I think he is against crime and punishment, but because of the issues that the concerns we've raised with him and haven't seen. But I think it's because I think he's trying to show that he is supportive of our law enforcement, or law enforcement is supportive of him, which most of us would say, well, that's just establishment, supporting establishment. So we shall see. It'll be quite interesting how eye-opening it is for people to see that Hobart Lewis has come out and endorsed Alan Wilson. I think there may be, as Olga asked me on our walk yesterday or the day before, how's that going to factor in with Pamela Vett, who is out of your precinct, as I recall. I think Pamela was in yours. So
Maybe she moved over.
when?
Maybe she moved.
Maybe she.
Oh, she may have moved to the Horry County. Maybe that'll be her way out of having her local sheriff endorse a different
Endorsing
candidate
another, that would be bad.
versus her.
Yeah.
And but it's going to be interesting. And I will tell you, I don't know if Olga wants to mention it, but somebody called headquarters yesterday wanting to find out about this event, which was scheduled at 10 o'clock this morning, about 2 or 3 miles up the road, and Olga couldn't find anything. So
Not that I couldn't find anything. I couldn't go find our Attorney General's official campaign page.
Right.
Well, sure enough.
She was trying to see. Somebody calls in, wants to know about the event. She had not heard about it. So she goes on Facebook to go to his campaign account, right? To see it there and see if you can find out, if they've made an announcement. So she goes to find his campaign account and
I cannot find it. So I go to one of the business accounts that I run. I can still access things from different accounts, and it's right there.
so she could access it from the Greenville GOP account. So you could see Alan Wilson's campaign account, but from her personal account, as a constituent, as an elector,
So they have you
Person's
blocked.
been blocked.
because Olga Lashinsky has been blocked by Alan Wilson's campaign.
Oh, wow.
And we're not
Do
people
that.
I don't know.
I have never interacted with him
And you're a voter
in
now.
my life.
We don't
Oh,
support
wow.
trolling people online. We don't do that type of stuff. Olga doesn't comment.
Maybe he blocked me when I was a citizen. He did not realize I was not his constituent.
I'm here.
A good politician never does.
I thought you were
No.
the second favorite.
A good
president.
I love what our rules guy says, a good politician does not block
Yeah.
citizens or anybody. I mean, I can get it. There are some fake accounts and some trolls that do things, and it's kind of like,
Well, the
gotta
Attorney
stop.
General used to call me his second favorite Polish
Polish person.
girl.
Yeah.
So it's not like he doesn't know who I am.
yes, he's married to a well, she has Polish.
Maybe his
heritage.
wife did.
Yes, so,
Long
that
story
could be
short, we did send a nice inquiry,
I sent a nice email to
to like,
the AG,
be like,
Attorney
hey,
General.
maybe it's a mistake, but if we could please fix it, but we have not heard back, and I have not been unblocked because I keep checking.
And I just sent it to him. I don't know if he personally knows about it or whatever, but I did send it to Attorney General Wilson, said, hey, it's kind of cute that they blocked her, but we can't even answer questions when people call. So that was the one blocking we got this week,
And,
we discovered, which was quite interesting.
Fun fact, Scott Gear just let me know that when he got an invitation to Attorney General's event today, he replied with regrets that it was interfering with coffee and politics. So
Oh.
he could not attend because this is more important.
Always stirring the pot. Yes, sir.
Is there anyone on the horizon that would be another DeSantis in our state?
The people that are up, Alan Wilson, Pamela Vett, Josh Kimbrell, there's talk of what's his name out of York, Ralph Norman, and then you got Nancy Mace.
Wow.
That's the discussion. So
Norman's strong, but he's strong for Nikki.
I don't think people are going to forgive him for endorsing and supporting Nikki Haley. So whether he does say a lot of the right things, he does complain. He's got a reputation of kind of chipping a lot out there. So I think he's going to have a problem with that. One of our people did get a long form kind of survey. What they'll normally do, these candidates, real candidates, they'll get like they'll spend $50,000 or $100,000 having a group literally go out and find out what people want to know in the state. They'll call people, they'll do a long interview with you. It may have been Chris that had the interview, but didn't somebody from Ralph Norman's campaign call you? Who was it that called and did a big
No,
interview?
unless you want me to say yes.
No. Bobblehead, yes this way, no that way.
She's kind of worse than me.
Yeah. No, we want honest opinions, but it was somebody that got a long form survey.
Oh, yes, it was, yes.
The light bulb went off.
It was so memorable.
It's a little, she's a little slow on the uptake this morning. You ain't getting coffee yet, have you?
It's free coffee.
Sorry, I need more coffee. I remember, it was a phone call, and I generally just don't even participate in those surveys, but, this one, by the end of it, I knew what the purpose of it was, and.
And how long was it? How long of an interview was it?
At least 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, so that's not too bad. Yeah, and
The concept of time is gone.
so I mean, but that's what they do. They want to find out what the feel of, you can do basic surveys of yes, no, do you like this, do you like that? But they like to do a little bit longer. And I actually, I answer the phone for stuff. I just, you call me, but they've taken me off of all of those lists. But apparently one person, they said that Andre Bauer, he's looking at running for U.S. Senate. He had people doing one of these same type of surveys, and I think it was actually a former Lindsey Graham employee, 20+ year employee, that got one of the phone calls. So, so it's kind of like, is it, did they do it on purpose to kind of, poke the bear and see how the bear would react, or just happened to be a phone number they called and they didn't know who they're calling? Yes.
What is Andre Bauer running as, a Democrat or
That's a Republican. No, he's a Republican. He's a former
CNN?
Yeah, she's really together.
he was one of the 3 people that Donald Trump had run his campaign for 2024. He was the Republican lieutenant governor. I know there's been a lot of trashing of him because of the Aspen Institute and some things
And
like that.
Kamala Harris.
A picture with Kamala Harris, yes, that he's met and talked with her. It's that picture I've seen was
Was it 2009?
2000. Oh, he was part of fellowship program or whatever with those guys in 2006, I think. And my question back to people that are trashing him, it's the Mark Lynch campaign is now attacking Andre Bauer. So is the issue we're trying to get rid of Lindsey Graham, or is the issue, oh, I want to get myself elected? So there's plenty of time to analyze and discuss. But what my question is to ask people, when did you know the Aspen Institute was a problem? I mean, I've known about it for probably 3 or 4 years, and I'm probably on the cutting edge of knowing. Nobody would have known in 2006. Nobody knew there was a deep state in 2006. Well, maybe some people did, but I'm like, a lot of people didn't know. And if you had gotten a phone call to be if you were a lieutenant governor, I don't know when he was lieutenant governor, but if you were asked to go participate in something, would you have said no to it? They're going to say, hey, it's a training program. They're going to send you around. You're going to meet other young leaders. Kamala Harris was, whether we like her or not, she was a young leader, because she was dating. She was young and she was dating, whatever, the mayor or something.
Mayor
Yes, the married mayor.
Married mayor.
Governor, Sanford was governor.
Was it when he was Mark Sanford? I don't know if it was probably around that time period. Yes. And it's, but I mean, he's got, who do we get to run that can actually challenge Lindsey Graham? That's the problem.
And Trump supports Lindsey Graham, I think, even now.
Trump has endorsed Lindsey Graham.
Endorsed.
He endorsed him, but what, we put out something. What would you expect?
There's
more
doing
to-
it to
there
keep
is
him in
more to
line.
that.
Oh, there's much more to it.
Strategic.
Yeah,
why he's
yeah,
he
yeah.
did that.
I would not expect
He needs
Donald
his
Trump to come out opposing Lindsey Graham.
He needs his budget.
A year before
He
before the primary.
Right.
And the real question will be when we get to June 9th, whatever, I think that's the date of 2026, does Donald Trump come down here and stump for Lindsey Graham? Or does he stay out of it? Because you saw that in the runoff election with between John Warren and Henry McMaster, I think back in 2000, it would have been 18. When it was a runoff, Donald Trump came down here, and that was the kiss of death for John Warren.
McMaster.
Yes, for McMaster, yes. And that's what, ended the career for John Warren.
Didn't Muscle White run in 2018?
Russell White?
Muscle Harris.
Oh, Harris. No, that was 2022. Nobody was running against. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 22.
How did he do? I'm sorry.
It was, it was maybe 10 or 15%, maybe 15%.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Andrew Bauer actually was a House rep, and then Chip Huggins took over after Andrew.
Somewhere at election.
Then he went to
area.
the Senate
Right.
for 4 years, and Ronnie Cromer took over
Yes.
after, and then he was the lieutenant governor for Mark Sanford for 8 years,
8 years?
2003 to 2011.
Okay. So he was lieutenant governor for 8 years under Mark
Per
Sanford.
Wikipedia.
Or Wikipedia. So.
Yes. So
Actually, he was the de facto governor for.
No, I don't think Warren's planning on running for anything.
Sanford goes.
And I
Going
think
missing.
John Warren does not talk to us. His
mother died, didn't
his mother passed
Passed
away.
away.
Yeah.
Somebody else died too.
His brother had gotten hit by a car, I think. Literally, I think he was like changing a tire or something like that. It was horrible. It's horrible. And his mother passed away. And she was a nice lady, and she would come out and support us with the tea parties and things like that. So, but yeah, I think what I have seen, we were very supportive of John Warren in 2018. Presley was very supportive because he was a Marine. Presley was Navy chaplain, but he was signed to the Marines. But then after that, it was probably the reorg of 2019. Presley ran, and people were sitting there saying he ran for chair of Greenville GOP. Presley said, "Oh, well," people were saying that, John Warren's probably going to support Presley. John Warren had nothing to do with reorg, nothing to do with anything, and came out and made a public announcement that, wait a second, I'm not supporting Presley. I'm not going to be involved. And it was kind of like, why? You don't make any statement whatsoever, but we supported you last year. When you ran for governor. Obviously us. Poking the bear with Henry McMaster, not making any friends by supporting him. And then, 6 months or 9 months later, he's sitting there distancing himself from Presley Stutz. And I'm kind of like, so I think what happened is he spent his $5 or $7 or $8 million. He got his, butt handed to him by McMaster, Donald Trump. And so he just kind of drifted off into the more, I hate to say establishment side, but he's drifted off. He's supportive of the Freedom Caucus people and those types, but in the sense that he's supportive of Ellen Weaver. Ellen Weaver's pushing government-run school choice. I mean, you're talking tons of money on that. And I think, my understanding is he gave her a big chunk of change, for her campaign. So a lot of people think or have said, oh, what if he would come back, if he would run? I think he got burned pretty hard, and he's probably done, and he's a place to dabble a little bit. But he literally, somebody told him that I said something about his mother, which I did not say. Of course, the lies. This is the manipulation.
She was a nice lady.
She was like, yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
you said something about her.
I said she was a nice lady. But somebody said something, told him something that I had said. He calls Presley Stutz and tells Presley that if Jeff doesn't apologize or do something, so he would bury me. I'm like, what?
That's a threat.
I'm like, why don't, number one, you're a big Marine, call me yourself. I don't know if people are scared to talk to me. Or number two, why are you buying into the lies? So I have not been a fan of his since then. And that was probably around 21 when I ran for chair, and all that kind of stuff. Because Presley was like, John Warren's completely ballistic. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. There's no way I would ever say anything mean about his mother. And I'm just, the whole thing is crazy. But these are the things that you learn about people over time. They're all normal people. And guess what? They have the normal emotions and the ups and downs and the bipolarness that everybody, most people suffer through. And, it's just, there's no savior out there. There's one savior, right?
Yep.
And I don't think he cares about our little tiny battles. He pushes a little bit here and there, but he does in the sense that he wants us to do the work. He's not going to come in and just do it all for us. He wants us to do the work. And I'm a wanting to do the work kind of guy. So if a lot of people are desperate for somebody to come in and save us and take care of everything for us, and but that's not what God wants. So,
Right.
When did he run off against McMaster for good?
that was 2018.
2018.
Yes, sir.
So another fun fact about Bauer had Sanford been impeached.
Oh,
When
he
he
would've been-
disappeared, he would be the acting governor, but the impeachment did go through. And then he did run for governor, but didn't.
So he ran for governor. I think he ran for Congress maybe
He did
too,
seven.
in the 7th congressional district. I think he was living down in that area in 2012. Okay. So, he's been around for a while. I think everybody knows that Lindsey Graham can be rather vindictive.
Don't say.
Well, it's,
Sugarcoat it, Jeff. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have it for you. But it's what we see with a lot of politicians. There's politicians that are so vindictive against us that they, don't support our school choice, and it's hurting children. So, that's our whole point. So I'm like, those types of people do not need to be in politics. So so that's part of the whole consideration. But if Andre Bauer, the rumor is, and you see the articles have been written about it, and I think there was actually an article this week in the state newspaper where apparently they found his WinRed account, for donations, Andre for U.S. Senate. So I'm like, that's how that type of stuff slips out. So I assume that it may push whatever announcement he may make or whatever. But in the Senate race, you'd have Lindsey Graham. There's that guy Tom Murphy. Yeah, but I don't think it's a serious campaign. People are taking Mark's campaigns more serious because he put $5 million of his own money into it. Now that doesn't mean he's going to spend it. Number one, we advise candidates, I've seen others do it. If you run for a House seat, put $100,000 in your account, loan it. And doesn't mean you have to spend it, but it will scare off people from running against you. They're like, well, he or she's got the money. They're going to spend a bunch. Doesn't mean he's going to spend the $5 million. And then you got Andre Bauer, which will be the fourth. So it's going to be everything is going to be very interesting between now and June. I think it's June 9th of 2026. So, it's, you got the governor, you got every statewide constitutional officer, You got, these U.S. Senate race, the U.S. Senate race, and every House race is going to be up. And I think it's going to be, hopefully, a throw the bums out type season, and get people motivated for it. So I mean, that's what we're doing. Yes, sir.
Just a couple of things. Slander, evil reports, all that, all it takes is just a little seed of that to disrupt and severely damage military, sports, corporate, anything. And so just a little on that. I won't go into the studies I've done and the people I know, but basically people do that. Either they give or receive such evil reports out of an itching ear, and it's out of a personal woundedness and insecurity and a desire to feel a one-up on something. But somebody we knew how they would handle it is if somebody says, did you hear about Trace Willits? I cannot believe. The first thing to do, is, why are you telling me this? And usually at that point it will stop because they're thinking, well, I just wanted to tell you so we could slander them privately. But
that's what we're trying to teach people to see.
So
and I love that you're bringing it up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the first thing to do, number one, is why are you telling me this? And then say, no, that's great. I'm so glad you brought this up. Okay. Hello, Jeff and Olga or Terry or somebody. Hey, so-and-so is with me and Trace is here and they're saying that you said that Trace was a jerk. So let's all meet right now for coffee. And so I know.
And I will show up for that meeting.
Yeah, so you immediately did that. And this pastor friend I knew, number three, if people would say, you won't believe what Trace Willits just did, he would say, I don't want to hear another word about that. Right. So those three.
I mean, I've learned that actually.
Do you know how many
Did
people
not
in this
like-
state, including judges, used to think I was disbarred from the practice of the law? It was everywhere in this state. Never been disbarred, never, anything public or private, whatever, what do they call it? Sanctioning or whatever from the, none of that type of stuff. But somebody planted the seed. The very first person I ever heard that said it, or somebody told me, said, this is the person who told me. Presley Stutz told me that Ellen Weaver told him that I'd been disbarred from the practice of law in the state of Georgia.
So
It's
pick
really-
up the phone and, hey, Jeff, somebody's saying this about you right now. Let's have coffee so we can all hash it out in 5 minutes.
Right.
That's what you
Right.
do.
Or better yet,
But most people don't do that.
call Ellen Weaver.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, or look on the State Bar Association, in Georgia, gabar.org, and you can search my name on there, and you can see there's no, what do they call it? Discipline, no public or private discipline. I'm a member of the bar, have been since 1994. I mean, it's like, but she was telling people that.
I did find out that you were responsible for the sinking of the Titanic.
From the moon. I am responsible for the sinking of the Titanic, and then you can take that video to the bank. It really is amazing how that goes. But that's why we're trying to teach people to stop being manipulated. People have literally now, they understand CNN is manipulating people, right? They're figuring that out. They're figuring out all the mainstream. But it's hard for them to say, this is the lady I see at the grocery store. She's manipulating me too. Now, that person might not be being paid. They may be being influenced from something else. Who the heck knows? But if you're unwilling to come and sit down and talk to people,
It's cowardice.
It's cowardice. And it's also a fact that they don't trust what they're even saying themselves.
It's highly corrosive to any organization, church, military, sports, whatever, corporate. And so that has to be nipped in the bud. I mean, I knew a pastor, I won't go into it, but he was in charge of international stuff at this church. And so he would nip it in the bud just like that. You're doing this, great. 5 minutes, coffee. We're talking now. Done.
And I did that with somebody over the weekend. Actually, they kind of had reached out to me. We were talking about some other stuff. And I said, if you ever want to meet or talk about this, it had nothing to do with us or had to do with some county issues. And not Greenville County Republican Party, but legislative issues. And I said, if you ever want to talk about it, I'm happy to meet and chat with you about it. He said, can you do lunch today? I said, well, I can't do lunch, but I can meet you at 2:00, for coffee. And that's what we did. And what's funny with him is he actually said that a lot of people won't meet with him either. So he's like, you offered to meet. I'm like, I'm going to take you up on it right away. I'm like, good. I offered to meet with other people. And they won't take me up on it. I literally had somebody made some sort of social media kind of comment this morning. And what we teach and what the Bible teaches is you go to the person first.
Right.
Then you take
Right.
two people, and then you take them to the church, and you go that whole thing. So I had kind of outlined on one of our signal chats, go to the person initially.
Right.
If not, we have a conflict resolutions committee with the Greenville County Republican Party. We had conflicts 4 years ago. And it's like, how do you resolve them? Okay, well, there is a scientific way of conflict resolution, biblically based. You get people.
biblical way as well.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Biblical. I mean, it conforms with that. So we went to the effort of setting up a conflict resolutions committee 3 years ago, 3.5.
Yeah.
And they went through that with some parties that were well-known rhino size. But I'm like, you couldn't get them to the table. They just, they were not, because they have ulterior motives. Go ahead.
If I may quickly, and I said this a couple of months ago, but basically, we love WW2 books. Okay, so reading a World War II book, B-17, and it'll say, okay, this came off the line in 1942. The pilot was from Palm Springs. The navigator was from Tulsa. The bombardier was from Orlando. Somebody else from Chicago. Whatever. Okay, you never, and basically, so it's this very diverse group of gentlemen from all over. Okay, you never in any of those books hear somebody saying, I can't believe my navigator's from Oklahoma. I would never want a co-pilot who's from Palm Springs. What did they do? They pulled together. They didn't worry about their freaking stupid little deals. And then they went on the mission. That's what counted. That's what
Everything is
we
supposed
have
to
to
be
do.
mission focused.
Yeah.
And, we were having a discussion earlier, Ann left, but, she had actually gone to the Alan Wilson thing earlier today and was talking to, I guess, one of his campaign people and was like, we need to pull the Republican Party together. And she didn't even know Alan's campaign had blocked my wife from his campaign account, and
Speaking of Austin, asked, was I blocked or I couldn't find information?
She was actually blocked because what happened is I could see it. I'm like, send me the proof and all that kind of stuff. So it shows that she's logged in as her. It shows Alan Wilson's in the URL. It shows his campaign political handle and whatnot. And but I sent it to the Attorney General, and I said, I assume you didn't do this personally, maybe you did, I don't know. But I said, please forward it on to your campaign folks and let me know when it can be corrected if you deem that appropriate, because he is the Attorney General and a lawyer, and this is a First Amendment issue, and it's kind of out there that you can't, politicians can't block people
From pages that are used
for their political
elected
voice.
position,
Yes.
which this is now becoming his campaign page, but he uses that page for his Attorney General duties.
Right.
So
If
that's,
he's talking about his campaign and all his official capacity.
I've actually learned how you go about this process. You contact them like we did, and if that doesn't fix it, you file a complaint with ACLU. And apparently they take care of it.
Good to know.
I was just
I don't know if the
curious,
ACLU would
I
call us
keep
back.
I didn't know.
Probably getting the name known.
Trump's having a press briefing right now.
Yes, there's an
He got-
11:30.
He got three good rulings from the
Yes.
Supreme Court this morning.
Yes.
6-3,
Yes.
birthright citizenship, they voted with it.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
We keep talking about it yesterday, between Trump, everything he achieves, and doing press conference and slamming these reporters, it's the biggest
It-
entertainment.
Can y'all
Yes.
imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need entertainment anymore. I just need to watch True Social and watch this guy on C-SPAN or whatever. They're showing him all day long. But I mean, it really is. And I tried to think about it the other day. I was like, what if Kamala Harris had won? What? I mean, what would we be
We've
talking
listened to
about
that
right now?
cackle laugh. We've
Everything
listening
would
to
be
that
said.
cackle laugh.
I couldn't handle
Would
it.
be
I
on
don't know
repeat.
what would you do? I mean, it's just
Turn off the
some
TV.
people are not satisfied with this, the speed. I mean, this is like lightning speed. I don't know what people are wanting, but they're like, oh, you're doing this. They're complaining, and I'm like, do you realize how good this is?
Yeah.
How good this is? Would you have ever? If I told you 6 months ago, they would have been voting against an injunction for birthright citizenship stuff. You would have told me I was nuts. you would have told me I was absolutely crazy. He literally, obviously the Midnight Hammer operation on Saturday night, went to the NATO summit, and then yesterday he comes back and he's pushing that big, beautiful bill. He's got some big, thing at the White House. He's telling our legislators up there, our elected officials in Congress, you're not going home until I get this. I want it on my desk on July 4th.
Yes.
And normally, what other president would do that? The guy is going to be sitting there at the White House, or where he's like, I want it on my desk. And it's like, the guy is doing fantastic stuff. And I'm like, it's hard to see people splintering off, saying not being team players of getting his agenda through. The big, beautiful bill might not be perfect. There are some people that, the issue with AI thing, that they seem to have some valid concerns that maybe some things slip through. Okay, let's talk about that and fix it. Because there appears to be some kind of strange, nefarious purpose in that AI stuff. I don't really know. But if it's that big of a concern, let's get it fixed. But there's a lot of things in there that we might not be even happy with. I don't want to sit there and give an exit ramp for all the Green New Deal stuff, to the companies that fell for that stuff, like Tom Tillis is trying to do up in North Carolina. So that's why, we may be, obviously, it's not our state, but he's up for election as well, just like with Lindsey Graham. Tom Tillis needs to go, right? Lindsey Graham may need to go, right? I'm saying may because I don't want to come hammer my head just yet. So
Is that Pam Bundy? That's Pam Bundy.
Yeah, that's.
it was her, and it was, she's Attorney General, so it was, all this Supreme Court stuff was under her, and it's fantastic. And they, could you imagine how fast it's moving? It's great.
We need to look at it maybe from Trump's endorsement side. Now, if he endorses somebody, which he endorsed Lindsey Graham March 26, March 27, if he endorses somebody and we go against it and we vote for Mark Lynch,
Yes.
well, are we America first or are we traitors? Are we MAGA or are we traitors?
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
In the sense that I think Trump had to do it. We all understand it. I don't think Trump is going to be upset with us if we elect somebody more supportive than Lindsey Graham. I understand what he says. Oh, well, if I got to get the Democrats to do something, I got to get Lindsey to go do it.
The question is, if he has already endorsed somebody, and last election, he went out and got 115 million, you and I were talking about it,
Yes.
for Lindsey.
Lindsey did.
He cannot afford to let Lindsey lose. Listen to his words in the endorsement. Senator Lindsey Graham is working incredibly hard for the great people of South Carolina, a state I love and won big in 2016, 2020, and 2024. That's what Trump wrote tonight in a Truth Social post. And he goes on, Lindsey has been a wonderful friend to me and always has been there when I needed him. As the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, Lindsey is fighting tirelessly to grow the economy, lower taxes, and eliminate government waste. Lindsey is also relentlessly focused on helping us secure the border, stop migrant crime, strongly support our great military vets, promote American energy dominance, defend our always under siege Second Amendment, and ensure peace through strength. So he came across that strong. And you think you're going to topple that? You're going to beat Trump?
Well, let's remember that he also advocated for vaccines, right?
Keep your friends close.
Trump was
Yes.
a
Keep
COVID
your
vaccine supporter.
Optics.
It's all
Were we
optics.
traitors?
Keep your friends close, your enemies
Right.
closer.
Right, and that's from, because he grew up in New York City. That's a phrase that's common in New York City. You want to keep your enemy closer, so this way you can control him.
But-
He needs Lindsey's vote.
Right.
And if Lindsey's replaced with somebody who's better, he's happier.
Right.
He'll find some other weak Republican to go work with the Democrats. There's plenty of them up. There's several of them up there. And if Lindsey's not the guy, then I'd rather the state of South Carolina U.S. Senator is a firm vote on yes on what he wants to get done, as opposed to our senator's the one that can go pull the Democrats our way, or our senator's the one that goes and opposes Trump. Our senator's the one. He was in Ukraine. Trump. What does Trump say about Lindsey being over in Ukraine? Lindsay and I think,
Blumenthal.
Blumenthal was over there, and I think, what's his name, the former Secretary of State, what's his name?
Pompeo.
Pompeo was over there.
Pompeo.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a whole lot of bad
Lindsey
stuff about
stabbed him in the
Pompeo.
back when he went over there in Ukraine. Plus Lindsey Graham gets US aid money, I think over 100 million from the Defense Department. US aid has been eliminated a lot, but the money that they're pouring oodles of money into defense, and that's where the US aid money will come out of and probably fund Lindsey again.
It's,
Because he is a warmonger.
Putting them in the
think about-
spotlight.
Well,
Think about if,
Lindsey Graham,
if
Spotlight.
he did
Spotlight.
not endorse him now, what risk would Trump be putting himself at?
his
Let's
budget-
say big beautiful bill, knowing Lindsay, he would be probably voting against it, right?
I don't think we're gonna be in trouble for going against Lindsey.
No,
Now, if someday Donald Trump comes down here and says, we need you to support Lindsey, I'll be shocked, I'll be like, oh my God.
That's what he did in my election.
Hmm?
He came out and I ran against Lindsay.
You did?
2020, yeah. And he came out, Trump said, everybody, I ran as a Constitution Party
Yes,
candidate, but
yes.
he said, everybody must support Lindsay.
Against
We're
Jamie
gonna-
Harrison.
Yes, against Jamie Harrison,
Yes.
or we're gonna lose the Senate seat.
Correct.
And he dumped 115 million into Lindsay compared to Mark Lynch's 5 million.
Right.
Okay, and I backed down immediately and did exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, so to think that he's gonna do anything different this election 6 years later, that's not true.
Well, we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
So obviously,
it'll depend on how the primary goes.
yeah, but
If he's primaried out, then Trump is gonna back whoever wins the
well,
primary.
that's what I said earlier. It depends if Trump comes down here and stumps for Lindsey Graham. I don't think he's going to. If it's a close race, and if Donald Trump comes down here stumping for Lindsey Graham, as he did with McMaster in 2018 in the runoff against John Warren, that destroyed John Warren. He was out. He's done. Right. I don't see Donald Trump. If there's a runoff, or just say there, it's right before primary election, June 9th, Donald Trump's going to fly down here and support Lindsey Graham and bail him out. I don't think he's going to do it. He may. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but we have to at least find a challenger that's going to challenge it. But I will say Keith Blanford, who said he was going to run when Donald Trump came in and endorsed Lindsey, he's like, I don't want to go against what the president's doing. So,
Trump's not stupid, and he's gonna remember how much we helped him get elected.
yeah, well, in the primary piece of it, yes. Then we'll have some influence on that side of it. But it's everything is smoke and mirrors up there. It's a whole different level. They got their own drama and their own people that are doing the same type of stuff that we experience down here. But I mean, I don't think Donald Trump's going to call the Greenville County Republican Party and say, you're supporting somebody other than Lindsey Graham, we need you to support Lindsey Graham. I will be shocked if you get that phone call.
He may not help us, but I don't see him hurting us.
But I think
I'll be shocked if he doesn't let us know to back Lindsay. Because
against Democrat, I think he will. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that was a totally different race against Jamie Harrison in the November election. We did not want to lose the Republican seat. I would much rather have Lindsey Graham as opposed to Jamie Harrison.
Yeah, Jamie
That
Harrison.
did not mean I was going to go out and
Definitely.
endorse Lindsey Graham. There was a bunch of people, conservatives, Tea Party types. Presley was one of them.
They had to hold their nose and vote for him.
But they went out and publicly endorsed Lindsey Graham. I was like, I told Presley, I said, you better make sure you got an understanding from the senator personally. And they did not do it. And Lindsey Graham turned on the next day after he was elected.
Of course.
And I don't remember who, I got to look back up and see who the other people were there at the mic speaking, in favor of Lindsey. Presley was there. I mean, they won. They're like, he asked me about going. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I don't want, that's not what I want to be associated with. So, but that was against Jamie Harrison. Yeah, absolutely. We'd much rather have, there is the lesser of two evils.
Right.
You can argue that whole fight, but not, if we had 65 Republicans, yes, let Lindsey lose to a Democrat, and then maybe that'll wake some people up. But I'm like, when it's 50-50, or we're going to lose the U.S. Senate, you don't want to lose, because all those judges for the next 2 to 4 years or plus. We don't, that's why we're having the problems we're having now, because it's the judges.
Well, he's going for the long game. Like a few years ago when he was at Panmunjom in the North Korean border, and he crossed over, met with Kim Jong-un, who actually I heard read The Art of the Deal. There's still vast amounts of bad things happening to prisoners, etc. in North Korea, for the greater good on the long game on things that we don't know about.
Right.
He strategically met with Kim Jong-un to facilitate something that's an arena that we don't see.
Right.
But if we simply look at the myopic optics, he's befriending the North Korean leader. Well, it's a lot more than that.
Because they don't understand how he operates. They don't understand how he negotiates.
Correct.
And all they have to do is read his book.
Read his book. Go read. I had Olga read The Art of the Deal. I have my book from 1987. I was like, go read it. Sit down and read this. It will enlighten you to no end. And not that she forced my hand on doing it. I will tell you, we are watching, we're up to season 13 or something of The Apprentice. I would recommend everybody watch that and look at it as a psychological study of just the people applying to be the apprentice. All that. Watch the psychological study of putting a diverse group of 16 people together, putting them on teams, having them battle, watch them stab each other. You want to see them splinter off? You want to understand politics? Go watch that show just for the apprentice side of it. But then also look at the other side of the boardroom table of Donald Trump and what he's doing, how he's thinking, his patriotism from way back then. I knew about his patriotism and stuff from The Art of the Deal in the 80s. Everything I've seen, since then. Watch it in The Apprentice. It is literally, it ought to be a study. People ought to literally study that thing to understand how people will turn. And you can see people that are applying or playing the game, as they call it. You can see them. Some people are calculated and will stab you in the back. Some people will not stab other people in the back. They're like, that's not me, and I'm not going to do that. So you see that divide in who people are as humans, and then you see, who gets ahead. Sometimes, Pierce Morgan in the first one, he was mean to everybody, but that was kind of, I think, setting the tone of what they wanted with The Apprentice. But I mean, you see some other people, and you see some of these, celebrity people. I'm like, I will never like that person again. I'm just like, that is not their internal soul. They're not good people. And it's like anybody that will sit there. I mean, Olga and I were singled out on Facebook yesterday as being called scum by people that were friends of ours that will not come and talk to us. Won't do whatever, but they're posting online, and they don't put our name in it, but it's like they're calling this couple of these people scum. I'm like, okay, I'm like, really, is that the type of person you are? I'm not on social media, or I'll even probably calling people scum. Olga. Polish, she didn't even know. She's like, was that a derogatory term? She literally had to look it up. Yeah. I'm like, she didn't fully understand.
It was.
We had the conversation, right?
I love. If you speak another language, you will learn that you get understanding of words from the context of the sentence.
Right.
I knew it was a very bad word. I told Jeff that the way I know I have never been called that before, or I have never called anyone because I did not know the whole definition of it. So that's when I like to learn actual definition. I actually Googled it to learn the definition word by word, and that just made me feel like I really don't want to be friends with these people anymore.
But the fact that they would call anybody that.
Right.
If anyone here was on social media slamming and calling people names like scum and all this, I would sit there and have a discussion with you. Right. And I would sit there and we had a good friend that used to curse constantly. I mean, like all the time. That was kind of their persona, was using foul language. And I'm like, you cannot be associated with the Republican Party and be an officer or whatever, all of this type of stuff if you're out there cursing up a storm. I get it. I went to an all-male military school, right? So, it was kind of cursed city, in the old days, in the 80s. but I'm like, we can't do that. There are people that are good, God-fearing, God-loving folks that is highly offensive to them. And we cannot do that. As a leader, you cannot do that. As a leader, I can't be on social media calling people scum. I mean, it can't happen. And I tell people all the time, if you see our people doing stuff, tell me about it and I will go correct it, even if it costs us. It cost us to sit there and call this person out.
To your point, and The Apprentice made me actually become more controversial than I have ever been, because now I can do what you just talked about. Just this week, one of the people that we probably all know got upset, and I reached out privately because I want to clarify. It had nothing to do with us, but that this other person did this versus that. Just want to clarify situation in case that person got upset for no reason. And this person wrote to me that she was upset because in the past this person want to beat someone up. And I said, well, would you let me know when that happened, how that happened? Because
we will call the person out. If they're threatening violence on somebody else, we will call them out.
And if that happens, we have to know, because we will correct it, because that's not acceptable.
And we are talking about Dylan. Dylan was threatening somebody else. So Dylan, please stop threatening to beat people up.
Don't make jokes like
I see the ankle monitor.
The GCRB ankle monitor.
No. This is YouTube. You can't do that.
Dylan loves it. He's a bad boy. Listen,
Corrected, it was a joke.
it was a
Not
joke.
jokes.
Everybody knows it was a joke.
Long story
Dylan
short-
wants the bad boy reputation. I remember when I was a young college grad.
That's why he gets away with it.
It's all very.
Long story short, the person could not come back and give me a specific example, or that event happened. So I said, yeah, we will not tolerate violence. I won't.
Right.
That's why I will say it. We separated, or Harrison separated himself from us because he threatened someone, and I went straight to him and just said I was a little aggressive, but I basically demanded apology from Harrison to that person, because I will not tolerate violence, like at all. And this person this week, she could not give me an example. So I said, well, we won't tolerate violence, but we won't tolerate false accusations either.
But it's the false out. It's the planting of the seed.
Right.
It's like it's the
That's
planting of the seed of,
Yes.
oh, well, that I've seen that person get violent and threaten to beat somebody up. Well, when did they do it? Because I want to go call them out.
Perfect.
So, and that's, so we kind of follow that. It's like, I want people, when they say Jeff Davis has been disbarred from the practice of law, say, prove it and show it to me. And it's obviously, it's a lie, it's defamation per se, all that kind of stuff. I will tell you, it was such a big deal in 2021. Mary Wheeler, who is our treasurer, she was being told that. She's a treasurer of the Greenville County Republican Party now. Mary literally sat down and asked me about it, and pulled me aside privately. We sat down on the couch. She said,
And remember
ask
where
me
that
about-
was?
"Oh, I
It
know
was
what it was.
actually-
Yes, I know." Not yet. But she pulled me aside. And I said, I can pull it up and on the GeorgiaBar.org website and show you. And I was sitting there getting ready to type it on my phone. She goes, no, let me type it on my phone. Because she didn't even, she thought, she literally, I mean, and this is true, she literally wanted to sit there and say, be able to talk back to people, say, I went on that website from my own phone, because she was prepared for the comment, oh, well, Jeff probably has some images on there that he's changed. And so she went on her phone. I walked her through. I said, go to GeorgiaBar.org, do member search, go this, put my name in there, and pull it up. And do you see anything? No. She's like, okay, that answers the question for her. But that's how bad it was. And as I've told, some people, we've had a couple reports about a particular person. I think we've had 3 people come to us, and it has to do with finances and some things like that, and tell us about, this bad stuff that's going on. And I'm like, if 3 people have come to us, there's probably 30 out there that are, or probably, 100. I don't know. Because, one person came to me, I had a bunch of people come to me about, the being disbarred thing, the false claim of that. And I'm like, those are just the ones that were brave enough to come talk.
And that's what I
How
would
many-
call morale
What was the
dry rot.
multiple? 20 or 30 or 40 of people percentage or times that did not come to talk to me. But I mean, oh, I heard from somebody who I heard from somebody who I heard from somebody. Practice the game. I whisper something into her ear, blah, 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 and what does it come out at the other end? It's something completely different. And some of these people are innocent along the way, and some people are actually, starting the rumors and happy to press it on. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I apologize for interrupting.
No, you are helping us focus, and we've talked about, the mental manipulation, because that's what people do not understand.
I was going to say, okay, I'm not a trained counselor, but I've done lay counseling for like 40 years for pastors and church leaders. The fastest thing to do is the shortest distance between 2 points is here to here. And emotional dishonesty is rampant in the American church. I know pastors who, all sorts of lifestyles, right? And so, but the deal is, it's always cowardice, always is the root of all of this. That's also with their woundedness, because all a person has to say, if they own it, say, I'm insecure, I was molested, I was raped, I was treated badly by X, and now to medicate my pain, I slander people, and I did that, and I'm so sorry, Jeff, Olga, Trace, Lisa. That's why I do these things, and I'm going to come clean. I mean, I won't go into detail, but I got a friend who prayed with the president, and that person no longer is in their position. But the thing is, in that case, it was basically when they were confronted on their stuff, it was, I'm sorry they felt that way. Okay, it's not, I did this. This happened to me, and I made the bad choice to do this. And so I did wrong here. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. That's a man or a woman of courage who stands there and says, I'm not going to blame my weird Uncle Harry or climate change. I did this. I chose to do this freaking stupid thing. I am wrong. I am so sorry that I hurt you. That's the core courage. That's the shortest distance between 2 points. And I'll tell you, in my experience, 99.9% of the time when somebody does that, the hearts of people go out to them. And they go, I'm so sorry you were hurt, and I'm so proud of you for being brave enough to take a minute to tell us that.
100%.
Plus what that does, Trace, when you confess your sins, it takes the power of that sin off
away.
of you.
Bingo.
It gives you freedom.
Yeah.
Right.
The freedom that Christ has given us is now available to you. When you try to hide from it, you don't have that freedom.
Right.
So you're always wondering when someone's going to expose you.
Looking behind your back.
And I'm gonna bring.
That's why the
to
Bible
finish-
is the best. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
To finish this cycle, what we were just talking about, I think people that are not willing to come to you and call me or to me and call me as come in my face, they don't really believe it. Or they're doing it for whatever reasons they're doing it. Because in this one particular case, when that person did something to me just a month, 2 months ago, unexpected, I went straight to that person and be like, hey, I'm surprised you said this. And maybe I just don't know the whole story, but would you mind explaining or sharing why did you say this and this? And that person never responded to me. And then when I saw
that's
that.
their shame. That's their
Yes.
that's their
Yes.
undealt with woundedness and shame. And I didn't mean it, but they don't want to admit, because what they would have to say is, I'm ashamed I did that.
Right.
I'm insecure. I'm wounded.
Exactly.
I don't want to deal with my stuff. I'd rather hide behind slander and gossip.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because if they really believed it, and that message in particular, it wasn't really so like slandering negative. It was just, I was surprised by it. If they really believed it, they could easily say, well, I have an issue with this and that. It was not like a very bad message or a gossip. It was just maybe an issue that I was not aware of. And because that person didn't come to us, I said, hey, if you have this issue, talk to me about it. Never replied. And then the name calling came. That's why I know it has nothing to do with us, because if they really had an issue,
there is no reason, even via text message saying, hey, I really have a problem and I have to, whatever, right? It's just stupid.
I mean, there's so much to learn being involved in this politics, and you see people where they go. There's so much to learn, and it's actually helped us. It helped me a lot.
Tremendously, because if you asked me 2 years ago to come to Bill and say, hey, by the way, why would you say that to me? I would never do it. I hate controversy. I would just hide from asking a question. I would never go to that person and say, I don't like why you said this. Do you mind sharing? I would just hide around it. If someone came to me, we had another example. Someone came to me and talked about a friend of ours really bad, and I would just go with it. I would never ask them, why are you saying this? Now, straightforward, I'm like, why would you say that? Like,
I think it's our responsibility.
But so because of a lot of personal heartache, I think it taught us to not tolerate it in others, and personally made me grow that now I have no problem asking Terry, like, if she says something crazy, why you're saying this.
But I did it with somebody today. I mean, there was somebody that put something on social media or on one of the communications channels, and I just called the person. I could tell after the first ring it got hit, send a voicemail. I left them a voicemail. And I know it's, they're not, I'm asking, I'm saying I'm practicing what I preach. I'm coming to you, I'm asking, and I'm never going to they're never going to call. They're never going to come talk to me about it. It is so freeing for me personally to be able to tell anybody, if you got a problem, come talk to me. I trust me, I want to learn. I want to figure this stuff out. And I have learned things over time. And it's just like, they don't want to admit it. And then what we have seen as well over the years is you've seen people that have splintered off, gotten all mad at us, and done all kinds of nasty, mean, rude, embarrassing things, shameful things that that they wouldn't want to admit to any of us or their mother or anybody or their children. And guess what? Then they figured out that they were on the wrong side. They're like, oh my God.
Which is okay.
Which is okay, but then they just disappear because they'll never come back. They can't come face and admit that, I made that mistake.
As Trace said, that's shame.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's not guilt, that's shame.
Shame, yeah.
And
That's
I
probably a
don't
better
even
way to put it.
expect ever people to come and ask for forgiveness. I said, you ask God for forgiveness. To me, just say that you maybe were wrong or you change your mind and we can move on. Like, I don't need, and then we don't need to go back and elaborate on it. Just show me that you're not going to do it again, type of thing, right? That I can maybe trust you again, which will be hard. But it's people don't do it.
They don't do it. They never do it.
They disappear, which
They quit.
goes back to the shame.
And that's why in the American church, it's so tragic, because I won't go into detail, but I had friends, the guy who was my spiritual father, he was in charge of international ministry, but it's like there'd be two pastors at the podium and they'd be crying, saying, I was so jealous of you last week, that you got to talk instead of me. And they'd be crying and they'd be doing that. But see, when you realize that pastors, all these, and they're just people, it could be an accountant, could be a colonel, it's the same deal. Everybody has stuff, but they're all afraid. And the deeper they're undealt with stuff, the worse. And I'll just say this, without going into a whole lot of detail, we actually know there's a devil. Okay, believe it or not, there's a devil. But what happens, I've talked to many people who said the worst, suckiest job to have is be on a church staff. It's horrible being on a church staff because you're going to hear, that pastor is looking at your husband over there. That gal, she got your place. He's jealous of you. And so what happens, the reason I say this is if you want to talk about spiritual warfare, if you ever talk to your spouse, a leader in anything, with anything that has weight to it, and you're trying to move from point one to point two, you'll say this, and you're going to hear something different. You're going to hear sometimes, it's like, I say this, and you'll hear 30% of it, and the other will be like, and Trace said this. So it's not necessarily that they're pointedly saying, Jeff said this or Trace is a jerk, but they will hear that. And I can tell you, endless stories of church staffs where somebody would hear this, they'd say this to the pastor, whatever, and it will be knocked over here, and the pastor heard something different. And so this is where it arises too. So it's not only not slandering, but I suggest that we all take a deep breath when there's something of a very weighty matter and go like, wait a minute, I know this. Is that exactly what they're saying, or did I mishear? If that makes sense.
Yes. And what's funny about it is what we're talking about now, you would say, oh, that has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with politics. I mean, there is important stuff being talked about by Donald Trump right now. There's important stuff. But guess what? This is probably more important. That stuff, Supreme Court case stuff will come out and you can read it. But understanding the mental manipulation and how that works in politics is the only thing that's going to save this country. Because otherwise we will keep falling for it and keep falling for it and keep falling for it. And I see it all the time. I mean, literally think about the past 3 weeks. And I made this comment on a statewide chat the other day. We've fallen for, this mental manipulation with reorg in the state chairman's race 3 cycles in a row. And my point was, it was like this past cycle, Barbara Arthur. I'm like, anybody in their right mind who thought Barbara Arthur was a potential candidate. I mean, I don't really care, but I'm like, against Drew McKissick. She was a member and associated with the occult. She is I'm like, are we? And I knew serious people that were like, oh, well, she's willing to do it. She did, maybe we ought to all get back behind her. I'm like, she was a member of the occult, not once, but twice. It's like she didn't get cured the first time. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, I don't even want to be associated with this. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I knew the other things that were going on in the manipulation and what was happening behind the scenes. But I'm like, this person is not a credible candidate. And what in God's green earth would we even give her any credibility whatsoever? We fell for it 2 years earlier, with people with Zoe Warren and what he was doing. He wouldn't come to the table. And 2 years before that, in 2021, look at the people that went crazy about Lynn Wood. Whether you like him, dislike him, all that kind of stuff. We needed, the goal and the mission is to get rid of Drew McKissick. And their whole thing was they didn't want Lynn Wood to be in there because we were associated with Lynn Wood, and Lynn Wood would have brought us in and had us running the SCGOP. Because Lynn actually asked Presley that question one time. He was like, if we actually win this, who's going to run the thing? Because Lynn is not like the guy that would be sitting in Columbia run. Oh, well, Jeff Davis will be the guy. You're just hired to make him do all that stuff. That's not what they wanted. The powers that be, the rhinos, and or the people that are, I call what would then be the Freedom Caucus folks. If the Freedom Caucus actually believed in this stuff, they would sit down and talk to us. They won't. I could probably have a better chance. Now think about it this way. I have not asked for a meeting or to talk with Lindsey Graham about this stuff. I've talked to his chief of staff, and we've talked to his campaign, not his campaign people, but his office people on particular legislative issues in DC. I've never asked for a meeting with Lindsey Graham, but I could probably get a meeting, maybe not, with Lindsey Graham, but I can't get one. And we've asked hundreds of times with Mark Lynch. Can't get Mark Lynch to come to the table. We're all mocking Alan Wilson for blocking Olga off of his campaign page. I'm personally blocked on Mark Lynch's campaign page. I've never written a single thing on his campaign page. And Olga's blocked on his campaign. It happened this week. Why did it happen? Because we pointed out that his staff and his political director were sitting there writing all kinds of things opposing Trump and opposing Operation Midnight Hammer and opposing the big beautiful bill. And now the question that's really flipping them out is I'm asking, what's Mark Lynch's political stance? What's his position on school choice? Do you think Mark Lynch has a chance in hell of being elected to the U.S. Senate if he comes out and says, I oppose all school choice? Everybody ought to take their kid out of public schools and put them in homeschooling. Because that's what a bunch of his supporters think. And that's what he has written about. And that's what his people have written about. UPA and his political advisors and all that kind of stuff. I can't get them to answer the question because it's making their heads explode. They're like, oh, he's going to have to support. What does he support? The ESAs, which are 100% government run, Or is he going to support, what we do, tax credit scholarships? Or is he going to say, I oppose all school choice? That's not a personal grievance. That's my job as chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party to ask that question. What is your position on school choice? What is your position on the big, beautiful bill? What is your position on Donald Trump and Operation Midnight Hammer? What is that? We do it, and guess what? We get blocked on his campaign account. If he was elected, he can't do it. As a candidate, he can do it, I guess. I don't think there's a First Amendment right with just a candidate. But once you're an elected official, you can't do that. That's why Alan Wilson's going to have to fix it on his thing, or he can play that little game a little bit. But why would we want to elect somebody that is doing it today?
Good point.
I'm not trolling
What is
him.
Midnight Hammer? What's that?
That was the bombing
Operation
on Saturday night in Iran. That was the bomb. That's what the bombers over Iran.
You
The
could always,
nuclear bombs. The B2s. Yeah, that's what they called it, Midnight Hammer.
you could always vote with your pocketbook by avoiding frequenting said business.
Well, that's the other thing I like to point out to people. And this is not a personal grievance. But think about this. What is one of the biggest things we're fighting in Greenville County? What is everybody down there talking about at the county council? What are we fighting?
Overdevelopment.
Overdevelopment,
Absolutely.
right? How does Mark Lynch make his money?
Development.
Selling to
Selling.
developers. He literally had, what was the Home Building Association? The Home Builders Association was meeting at his office in his chapel. The home builders, who were all fighting the home builders.
Which again,
I mean, I don't fault somebody making money, but I'm like,
but that discussion needs to happen.
the discussion
right?
needs to happen.
Because would he, if he's elected, and maybe being in the Senate has nothing to do with development in Greenville, but it does, right?
Absolutely.
But would he?
Look at
send-
Ralph Norman. What was Ralph Norman? He was a home builder. I think he was a developer up in York County. And I think Ralph Norman even said after he was elected to the South Carolina House of Representatives that he got more business because he was, a South Carolina House rep. I think he literally talked about it. It was not a big deal. I mean, it just is what it is. But I'm like, the fact that we can't have the conversation. Do you know how many people ask us about, oh, you're only pushing this school choice because you're going to make money?
Projection there.
All the time. They ask us all the time. I said, let me explain to you. Let's talk about it. I will answer any question about it. And I will happily answer those questions because guess what? If we make money, were to make money off of school choice, it would be for administering the program and getting a ton of money in the pockets of kids that are going, or families that are going to private Christian schools. Is that what you want me to do? I think, I've had, they don't, that's a positive, right? Okay.
They're not used to people not taking money.
Right. I mean, it's like, oh, I can't, eat for, I'll work 24 hours a day, but my working will help kids get, a better education and all that kind of stuff. I'm okay talking about it. I'm like, well, if you don't like private Christian education, yes, you're probably going to be mad at me for making money off of it, right? But if you like private, we're helping people get in there, and we're charging less than the government would charge to do it, less of an administrative fee. That's all documented and proven out there. But it's like, if you ask the question about how does Mark Lynch make his money, where did the $5 million come from?
Us.
Yes. I mean, it came from, making money from the developers. But I mean, how many people are going to be mad at Jeff Davis because I questioned him? I've literally been accused of supporting. I'm now a Lindsey Graham supporter. That's what I've been accused of. I'm like, you really think I'm a Lindsey Graham supporter? Oh my God. I mean, no. I mean, where does this come from? But this is what they say because they don't want to talk about the truth. And that's why I'm going to ask the question. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Is like, what is Mark Lynch's position on school choice?
We just don't have choices, do we?
I think if Andre Bauer runs, he's going to be our only choice to beat Lindsey. I think he can raise to 25 million, which is probably the bare bones minimum it's going to take. He's raised that kind of money before. Yes, he went through the Aspen Institute, whatever stuff in 2006. Okay. I mean, 19 years ago.
They changed.
maybe he hasn't. We got to ask the question. Maybe, I don't know. We can ask the question. I'm okay asking the question. I think Andre Bauer will answer the question. I can't ask the question of Mark Lynch. He won't answer it. He won't talk to Jeff Dad. Stay away. Be honest. I think Andre Bauer is going to answer the question.
So beyond number one and number two, I keep telling myself, but also within friends on our signal, like, let's not attack each other because you may like Jeff Lynch or Mark Lynch. It's fine. We may try to educate you, or we will put information out on Mark, and you can do it with Andre or whatever. But when I see that now we're already, people would attack a person because they seem to be exploring a different candidate. So we must be better.
Explore the candidates. We need to ask them all questions.
12 months before that election. It's a long time, and we all have to be ready for it because people will attack and people will be mean to each other just because we try to, explore everyone and maybe like other candidates.
If Andre Bauer sits there and tells me that, I believe in the Aspen Institute and I'm a globalist, we're not going to support him. But I'm like, we're going to ask him the question. He's probably going to tell us the answer we want to hear, and then we'll keep doing due diligence and figure it out. But where's Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham is a globalist and probably don't support all that stuff. So,
What is an Aspen Institute? I guess it's Colorado, isn't it?
Well, I think it's out of there, but the Liberty Institute here with the Hip family.
Okay.
It's the Liberty Institute is the South Carolina version or affiliate of Aspen Institute. And yes,
Hips family.
the Hip family. Yep.
Like Hip
They have a
Road,
peace center.
like the Hip Road.
Hip what?
Isn't there a Hip Road?
There is a Hips Road.
Oh, there probably is. I don't know. But it was Liberty Life. They were like the big family here before they sold the company off years and years ago.
To the Canadian company.
Yes, yeah. I think it was Royal Bank of Canada. I think that's who they sold it to. Yes, yeah. They sold it off to RBC. So we did a lot of work with RBC in the day. And I'm like, oh, I know those people. That's how I grew up here in
So we're
Greenville.
talking picnic?
Picnic.
It's not picnic. What is it?
Cookout. So tomorrow, we actually have our fifth vice chair right here. Let's just get a close up.
No, don't do that. We'll never come back.
We got to figure out where the light is. I don't know why that
Keep it in the dark, that's good. Tomorrow at 6:00, everyone's welcome. Bring your family. We've got barbecue. On the piece of literature, it says if you bring something to go by the alphabet of your last name, but we will provide the meat, all the fixing with the meat, the barbecue sauce and everything. And actually, it will be prepared by our friends from Oconee County that is doing the barbecue for us.
They did the barbecue for Pickens 2 weeks ago, and it was very, very good, even without sauce. So.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't have any sauce. Yeah, it was really good. We will provide also the drinks as far as, tea, lemonade, and water. So hopefully everybody will come.
Yep.
Plan to have a good time. It's here at the headquarters, 2505 Wade Hampton Boulevard.
Just pray for no thunderstorms.
No thunderstorms, or if it does, it'll do it early so we can have a good time.
I checked it this morning. There's a 15% chance of rain at 6 o'clock on Saturday, 6 p.m.
That's what time we're having it, so that's good.
So 6 to 8.
Bring an umbrella just in case. We can still eat with an umbrella. Oh, and bring a chair too, please.
Yeah, we got plenty. We got a bunch of tables.
If you have a launch chair or something.
Yeah,
You feel
we
like
have
you're back in the army.
approximately 70 chairs.
70,
but
okay.
We're expecting
More people.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Parking, we can park at the church,
or
walk over. I don't know if anybody's talked to State Farm, but it'll
Well,
be
they're
Saturday
gonna
night.
limit us if it's, as long as they're closed.
There will
They told us
there will
that.
be signs. Just so everyone know, the driveway here will be only for handicap and drop off. We will not be parking just because.
Physically handicapped, not the mentally handicapped.
So that
Because
would
we're all
be-
mentally handicapped being involved in
Terry,
politics.
what are the
That
cookies?
means everybody.
Do what?
What kind of, what are they making?
Barbecue. I mean, it'll be pork.
Supposed to all be
Barbecue
that.
pork. Minced barbecue, yeah.
And what's the alphabet called?
I don't have, what does it say for the alphabet?
So we basically say that people with last name A through, I cannot see it.
Yeah, I definitely can't see it.
Appetizer, Greek appetizer, A to H. It's appetizer, I to Q, it's salad or side, and R through Z
It's
is
dessert.
Oh, good.
So we'll have
My
everything
wife,
covered.
She's already agreed to run some, she's not gonna come. She'll fix this tray of brownies.
She's fixing brownies for us, but she's not gonna come.
Wow.
You haven't talked her into actually
She
coming.
is anti-MAGA, I'm sorry.
But she's feeding the MAGA
But she's
people.
feeding us.
That's good enough.
We'll take that, we'll take that. That's good enough. But it is. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Hopefully he's not
What
something
kind
in
of
the
brownie?
brownies she's trying to kill us all.
That's true. I did bring lavender brownies over to Pickens though. They
Yeah.
were good.
But it's very interesting. It's like, we're basing it on last name. Bring whatever you want or whatever,
Yeah,
yeah, but,
I mean,
Yeah,
we just try to separate it out. One person wrote that they would be, that they were out of a particular precinct. They thought it was based on their precinct name.
As long, that's fine too,
It's
as
fine
long
too.
as we have variety, we
Yes.
don't, I wouldn't mind
I
that we
actually
have
think
desserts
very much.
only, but I don't think.
I think it was, we made the comment in
You
the
got
chat.
enough tables and all?
Yes, we have tables. Do we need chairs now? I mean, that's why we're asking people to bring chairs.
It's gonna be what, 93 degrees? You're gonna have a big fan?
It's gonna be 81 degrees at 6
81.
p.m.
Yeah, but what's the
Yeah.
real feel? What's the real feel?
I don't know. I didn't ask Alexa what the real feel. I asked what the temperature, but the weather would be at 6 p.m. on Saturday. It told me 81 degrees and 15% chance of rain. So I don't know. We've had very good luck with the
Yes,
weather
Laura's
here
been
before.
good to us every time we've had an outside event.
Yes.
It really has.
Well, then last night it rained. I
And
was
hey-
on the way to the restaurant, but
Really?
we're okay once they.
We are not made out of sugar.
I was about to say, a little bit of rain never hurts anybody.
So it should be a lot of fun. I think we've got people from other counties coming, leadership in other counties. We'll talk about kind of, maybe make a few comments or statements about stuff like that. I know Bill Frady and his wife Kim are coming.
All right.
What's the head count?
So
I think it's gonna be.
we asked for food for meat for 200.
200.
So, but then again, I actually asked for 2,000 to start off with,
Yeah.
because we actually have a big freezer, so if we got an extra,
He wants to have
Oh,
leftovers.
Yeah.
an extra,
Yeah.
400 pounds of barbecue, I'd be okay with it, because I need it for the rest of my life.
A lot of
But
barbecue.
I think 200 people, I think we'll see, so we'll figure it out. So it should be a fun event, and I know Liberty Harris and those guys are doing their thing. Let them know that they're welcome to come
Yeah, they're
outdoors
welcome,
if they're willing. So
Yeah, they might be coming late, but
yes,
with the timing, the show should end. I would assume the show would probably end around 5:30 to 6 o'clock, so
but let them know they're welcome to come over, and
we'll do
they don't
that.
have to bring anything.
No,
Just
no.
stop by, have some barbecue or some tea or whatever. So
I'll let
Or
them know.
lemonade.
or lemonade.
I'll let them know.
So all right, what else we want to talk about?
Are we meeting next week Friday?
Oh, yeah, the big
Yes,
board.
so we will, because bless her, Sally Ann was the one that really wanted to meet on 4th of July.
Oh.
She's recovering from a shoulder
Mhm.
replacement right now. So, Jeff won't be here.
I've got my
I-
surgery next week, so I probably will not be here.
Oh.
Right,
Mm.
but
Okay.
hopefully he will, if anything, I'll bring his mother over
Secret.
to stay with him
I'll tell you.
and I'll be here.
I'm not telling the exact day yet
Oh, okay.
because I don't want to protest in front of the hospital.
Oh.
But we will, since Sally Ann really,
You might need to bleep out, I just said that.
I know.
really wanted us to be here, so we'll have the
I don't think.
4th of July, but we understand it's 4th of July, people most likely have their own plans, whatever. But we'll be here the regular 11 to 1, just in case people have no place to go and they will.
And oftentimes we'll find people will come on a holiday that can't
Right,
come
because
normally.
normally-
And now that we broadcast it, they just,
Stay home.
they stay at home. So-
Gotcha.
But we'll be here, if anyone wants to show up, I'll be here.
Olga will be hosting.
I'll be at the beach.
You are?
What about Samson?
Samson and Ray will be taken care of.
Oh, now you don't need even a cat sitter.
A big freezer.
Terry has a new kitten.
It's driving me crazy.
That's what kids do.
I
And
know.
actually, it was one of our friends
Means it's
that
healthy.
showed
Oh,
up
is that what it
last
means?
week to help clean up the yard. And she found this kitten and she brought him here, like, found kitten. And I was messaging everyone because she was going, she actually took the kitten back to the shelter the day before and they said they could not take him till Monday. And I'm like, there's no way you're taking that little thing to the shelter. So I called and messaged everyone. And Terry showed up.
And she
And
took the kitten. How
she
nice.
could
Well, it was actually thrown at me, so I had no choice.
Please.
Here, you need an animal.
Hey, the generals need a friend.
Jeff keeps asking when I'm bringing him over.
We were,
Yeah.
yeah, but we're not gonna become those people. We have
We've already become those people. So.
It was so tempting. I picked that kitten up and it was like one of our general's patent. He started pouring like
Yeah, he's very loud.
pouring machine.
How nice.
It was so sweet. He could not have
Yeah.
gotten home.
He thinks he owns the house now.
Yep.
And they think it's some purebred cat.
Could be, yeah.
So
And well, I took him to the vet Monday, and he's 12 weeks old.
His name is Samson.
Samson,
from the Bible.
yes. He's a mighty warrior.
And
Driving me crazy.
as every story goes in the household or more, Terry's husband was a little reluctant about her bringing pet home. And guess what? Within a day,
Yeah, they bonded. They're best buds.
They're
Because
best
Bonded. How nice.
he does. He'll follow us all over the house.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really puppy.
so
Yep.
Yes, sir.
another good story.
Yes.
Hey, go ahead.
If we're through with kids.
Yeah, we're done. We're done with cats.
Yeah, done with
Please get back to politics. Please help me. Help me.
I came across this group, South Carolina's Conservative Future. What can you tell me
Yes.
about them?
Is that the
By
one-
Greenville businessman John Warren.
Who?
Who is it?
John Warren.
Oh, that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
John
Oh,
Warren.
you missed
Yeah,
that conversation
Yeah, we had a whole
earlier.
conversation. John Warren ran for governor in 2018. He had a business, actually, they did,
Bitcoin.
well, he's doing that now, but
Yeah,
before, what he really
before.
made his money in, they,
Wasn't it?
well, it was what you would typically call in the old days hard money loans.
Mhm.
Like if somebody was willing to pay 20% interest and put
Sharks.
50% down, loan sharks, that he actually
I
had
don't think
something
Brett
a
does.
little bit less than that. So instead of paying 20, you're paying 10. He was out of Atlanta. We used to see a lot of people do that in the old days, but they scaled it, and I think he sold that company, and I think or sold out of it, and I think he made a decent amount of money. I've heard all kinds of different variable numbers. Who knows? Because it was all private deals. But he probably spent 5 to 8 million, I think, 7.5 million, I think, on the governor's race in 2018. And Trump got to the runoff, and Trump came in and endorsed Henry McMaster and
Wow.
stumped for Henry McMaster in 2018. That's why we have Henry. So, but we have Trump because Henry supported. I mean, the guy he's a loyal guy, and he's been way too loyal to Henry McMaster because Henry
Yes.
McMaster has not been a MAGA America First. And what a lot of people don't remember from 2016, McMaster had endorsed Jeb Bush first.
Ew.
Yes. And Olga and I, what we did in 2016, we went, and we were obviously Trump supporters from the beginning. And we were actually at the Yorktown when he did the whole Muslim thing or whatever. So we were inside the Yorktown, when he gave that presentation speech. But we were there when Henry McMaster came in and endorsed. It was over in Lexington County. I can't remember the town or whatever, but that's when Henry came in and endorsed Trump at some event. It was in some big old barn over there, and they were giving, chitlins or something, some kind of food we were eating. But it was good, But it was, and he's been loyal to McMaster ever since. And I think what people are counting on in the Attorney General's race, and like we said, we've got David Pascoe, who's now converted from Democrat to Republican. We don't like converting Democrats to Republicans, but I think this is the one example where I think it's worth it because I can't find a Republican that is going to go after crime and corruption at the State House. And David Pascoe wants to do it. So, I mean, that's, what do you do? I mean, sadly, we don't have any Republicans that are going to stand up and do it other than us. We're willing to do it. But, look what they do to us for standing up. And in that Attorney General's race, they're talking about Henry McMaster Jr. running for it. And yes, there's a junior.
Yeah, there's a junior.
And as we said earlier, you got Stephen Goldfinch is rumored to potentially be running, and then one of the other solicitors, I think David, Stumbo out of Greenville may run for it. So, but I mean, I've been told that Henry, Trump keeps asking McMaster, well, what do you want for supporting me? And that they think the Trump may come and endorse Henry McMaster Jr. for that race. So, worst case scenario, Alan Wilson run, is elected governor. Henry McMaster Jr. is our new attorney general. That's worst case scenario.
Yeah, really.
In my particular opinion, because I think then you would have the governor and then the attorney general's office still creating that cover up of what I think the corruption that goes on in the state. I think Alan Wilson would have run for governor probably in 2018 had it not been because of the Quinn corruption charges that were going on. I think he continued to be attorney general for 2 more races, I guess, 18 and 22. Because Alan needed to stay in that office to keep it covered up. It's how I feel. I'm willing to have the discussion if the attorney general and or his campaign people want to have that discussion. I literally in the email, I got no problem showing, but when I sent him an email yesterday saying, hey, your campaign's blocked my wife and we're not trolls, and you can't send it to your campaign and let us know. But I said, it is still an issue for the Greenville County Republican Party. And I sent it from the Greenville GOP email address, as I recall. But I said, it's still an issue for us, the $275,406 that is missing, the Chad Conley issue that's missing from exceptional SC. And, I'm happy to talk about it if you want to talk about it, but it is a political issue for us. It is an issue because I know the facts pretty deeply. We've talked about it a lot, and I think it needs to be addressed. And I think it will be a campaign issue that Alan Wilson either is going to try to sweep under the rug or is going to have to address. That's just, I think it's a fair question to ask. We ask hard questions of rhinos, and we ask hard questions of people that purport to be conservatives. I get asked a lot of hard questions. I don't mind answering them. Anybody, when we should ask Andre Bauer hard questions, and we should ask Nancy Mace hard questions, and we should ask, David Pasco hard questions. Just like we're going to ask hard questions of Henry Master Jr. and Stephen Goldfinch and anybody else. I want to ask hard questions of Ralph Norman. But if any of those people are your candidate and you're upset because we asked them a hard question, that's a reflection upon you, and that's a problem.
Did you get that text about Nancy yesterday? The hit piece?
I don't think I got that text, but
Okay.
I did see it.
You did see
Yes,
it, okay.
yes. And I assume I don't know, I assume it's true, but
Yeah.
She probably did make those statements
Oh,
about
yeah.
supporting the transgender. I mean, I've heard all kinds of things.
Didn't Nikki Haley appoint McMaster governor?
No, she
No, she did not. He was a lieutenant governor.
Lieutenant governor.
And what happened is,
She went to the
yes, when she went to the UN, that moved him up to be governor. That's how he got it. So he got the final 2 years of her campaign, or of her second term, and then he got 2 terms himself. So technically, he is the longest serving governor in South Carolina history, which is
10 years. It'll be 10
yeah, 10 years.
So going back to that organization, I mean, they do their own endorsements and all that.
They do.
Is there any connection with the Republican Party? Is there? I mean,
John Warren won't return a
just
phone call
all-
from us. So I don't, no, he's
do their own thing.
It's just, I don't know if it's 501c4 or a PAC or what it is, but he puts some money in there. He does whatever. It should be some public filings on it if it's a C4 or a PAC. If they're endorsing, it's public. So you could look it up. It'd be worth looking into just to see. But I mean, we don't. They're going to endorse the same people all the time, and then I don't think it's a lot of people were anxious and excited about it, thinking John Warren was going to stick on the hard conservative side and be out there doing things. People have asked, maybe he'd run for governor or he'd run for U.S. Senate. I don't think nobody that I know thinks he has any plans of doing any of that type of stuff. So I think he was dabbling a little bit in the beginning, maybe to keep his name out there. But even that organization, I think, has kind of drifted off and doesn't do too much. I could be wrong, and if somebody hears this and knows different or better, let us know, and we'd be happy to meet. We'll meet and talk to anybody.
I'm sure they will.
Even the guy that apparently on our YouTube page wrote about on the video, a room full of racists. So apparently we're a room full of racists in here right now. So but who knows? It is what it is. But that's somebody.
And what was the name of that organization again? South Carolina Conservative
Future
Conservative
Fund.
Future, yeah. South Carolina's Conservative Future.
But I mean, we've had good people try to even talk to John Warren, and he wouldn't return a phone call to him. I mean, and this was actually people involved in the city of Greenville races. And I'm like, John Warren lives in the city of Greenville. I don't know where his kids go to school or any of that type of stuff, but you live in the city. The city is a Democrat-controlled city, and you're not willing to even have a conversation about helping us flip the city of Greenville back to Republican?
Wow.
Or back to at least Rhino? I mean, I'll take Rhino over Republican or Democrat. You know, maybe not. I mean, it's, you know, but it's kind of the same, yes. But, you know, it's, you know, people, I'm like, you live, this is where you live, you know, and you're not willing to do it. I'm like, you know, I don't care. If somebody calls me, I'll talk to them. When they say you're crazy, if he wants to say we're crazy and move on, but I mean, to not have the conversation. And part of this goes back to 4 years ago, the Rhinos and the Nates and the, you know, all that establishment side, put the word out, do not talk to them. That's what Nate told everybody. I got, you know, I mean, actually the campaign people that are running Mark Lynch's campaign now, or at least one of them, they came and sat down at our house and said, oh, here's the list of people they told us not to talk to, and you're on the list. Don't talk to Jeff Davis or President, you know, what President, but you know, said don't talk to them. You know, that kind of made them want to talk to us a little bit more, and then they eventually stopped talking to us for whatever, because Pastor Burns was, you know, not somebody we, at the end of the day, we can support based on a couple other things. But I'm like, you know, if you're going to listen to Nate Lloyd tell you not to talk to the Greenville, it was 4 years ago, you know, so I mean, it's a little bit different now. I mean, you really want to keep not talking to us, keep going that route, you know, but I mean, we can't support people that won't talk to us. I mean, does anybody disagree with that? Should we support a candidate? Should the Greenville County Republican Party support or do anything for a candidate that literally will not return a phone call? No.
Absolutely not.
It's not complicated.
Well,
I mean, you know, I'm not, you know,
our rules complicate.
no, our rules, you know, we
Not only our rules, but the state rules too. So we have to be careful.
right,
I don't like the.
but I think we are clear in the
Oh,
rules,
yeah.
in the fact that they will not talk to us. We do not have to do
I
anything.
told somebody that I expect it to be resolved. No, it's not gonna happen. Well, goodbye. I don't want, I'm not gonna start telling you.
I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. But it's not going to happen. What, a meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So why? You know, you don't want to meet? Then stop promoting the fact that you have a pastor on staff who's not teaching you to follow Matthew 5 and Matthew 18. That's it. Goodbye.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say, cowardice takes many forms, and when people are hyper focused on evading truth and not wanting truth to dilute their focused mission, which is what it is, because they have a mission, then you know, that's cowardice. And I won't mention any details, but Lisa talked to somebody whose pastor is the head of one of the biggest fellowships in this area, and that person confronted their pastor and said, will you pray for the United States? And the pastor said no. Now, my thought is, okay, go back to bookkeeping, you're selling used cars. You know, I mean, that's Christianity 101. So you know, the pastor won't do it. You know, George Barna, a Christian pollster, did a study, and 70% plus of American pastors won't talk on anything substantive. And when they said, why won't you do that? You know, it's like, do you have diarrhea? You have a skin disease, eczema? What's your deal? Why don't you do that? Well, it came down to money. So 70+% of pastors are afraid to talk about it.
hirelings.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where, you know, whatever, your church, the community church, and slowly boiling frog or whatever, but they won't talk about stuff because they're afraid of people's, they don't want to hurt feelings, and they're afraid of losing money. And so the reason these dudes and dudettes won't talk about it, they're afraid. They have some sense of fear of loss of some sort. So they want to be hyper focused and don't want your truthful, honest approach to deflect their mission.
Listen, I believe an open transparency about everything. I had contacted a guy that runs a pro-life organization earlier this week and said, hey, I'm told this, is this true? And he's like, I'm an open book, and he told me all the stuff we needed to know. Some of the things that I've been told were not true, some were true, but I was like, he was like an open book, and I'm like, that's the way to be. And I'm like, I am too. You ever have any questions or issues with me, call me and let me know. And it solved an issue, but it took me reaching out directly to him to kind of get that answer. So are we about done?
Yes, but did you know about the Zone 7 meeting? Do you have details? Bob was one asked to mention, but I don't have really details.
Bob, I don't know the details of the Zone 7 meeting.
It's June 8th, July 8th.
July 8th. Yeah, send us the emails and we'll put it out there.
Yes, Sims Branch.
Sims Branch Library.
On Pelham.
The Pelham, okay, the Pelham Library. I think that's when they did it before.
July
That's where it
8th.
was before.
Yeah.
July 8th.
June the 8th.
July 8th.
July
July
8th, Zone 7 meeting at the library on Pelham from 6 to 8. And the 8th is, what day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay, good. And Zone 7 is our zone, so,
And I will put it up on the.
but it's July 8th, Zone 7, so not July 7th, July 8th, so at the library. So I think that'll be good. Hopefully I'll be out of the hospital by then, and maybe I can come. Just don't punch me in the stomach. So, all right, well, it's 1 o'clock. Does anybody have anything last they would like to talk about, or can we?
I just want to ask a silly question. Whatever
No.
happened to Linwood? Because I liked him.
I think
He was
he's,
like in Georgia, didn't he?
yeah, no, I think he's down, he's still down in Beaufort,
Oh, is he?
yeah, oh, yeah, no, and I think he actually took one of the plantation, converted to like a wedding venue type thing, so they have some parties and stuff like that down there. The one he lives on, Tomatley, is, he has 3, but I mean, I think he's just, he was done. He's like, this is craziness. And there were people that were mad at us. Think about this. They were mad at us for getting him involved in the SCGOP stuff because they wanted him to run against Lindsey Graham. I mean, he had at the time a very big name and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And, he potentially could have. And, that would have been 2000. So he would have had to wait till now. I don't know if he would be, how he'd be. I thought Linwood was a blast to listen to. He's on Telegram. He's been right about a lot of things. He did lose last month, or it was in May. He had his former law partner sued him over an issue, and he was kind of belligerent about it, as some of us can be. And he ended up losing the lawsuit. It was like $11 million, I think, that he was supposed to pay them. So that was actual damages. I don't know if he'll appeal it or where it'll go and all that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, he's a very interesting person to talk to. So it's great. All right. We have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right, we're out.
Second,
Thank you.
third, fourth, fifth, whatever you need.
We'll be back. It'll be Olga next Friday.
Hope the surgery goes well.